And we're live. We are live. And our topic for this session, these sessions again, for those of you joining us, we're live on LinkedIn and we're live on YouTube. And I did post just a few minutes ago on Instagram so that people could check out the YouTube channel. So maybe some people are there as well. Time is running out. That's our topic for today. And I just wanted to share a few thoughts about how we can tend, especially as women, to go, and really feel like we don't have enough time. We don't have enough time to get to all the kids' activities if we have children. We don't have time to get the house cleaned. We don't have time to straighten up the house if we have somebody cleaning our house. We don't, there's not enough time for all the meetings we have on our calendar. There's not enough time. We're running out of time all the time. And it's interesting because that was really the theme that I wanted to use, because time is running out to register for this retreat. We are closing registration on Monday, October 9th. So if by end of day Monday, you don't sign up, then you'll not be able to sign up for this particular retreat. And we don't have enough people yet to hold the retreat. I want to have a minimum of 6 just to make sure that we have a good group and that it is really, we've got some good interaction going on. We have the capacity for 10 women, because Kara and I will be there. Kara Douglas is our yoga instructor. She will be doing morning and evening sessions with us. The retreat will be focused on, the name of the retreat is Release and Restore, Declutter Your Mind, Rejuvenate Your Soul. And we're really going to build in a lot of downtime, like time to just be. And we've got some actual instructions of, even using time for super thinking time, so that we are able to actually press pause during that retreat. Now, we will have activities. We're going to be doing some different meditations and somatic work, and we're going to be using photography. We're going to be out in the beautiful Georgetown, Maine. The house that we're in is right on the coast. It is so beautiful. Kara and I have both been there several times. And it's a gorgeous home. It is the huge windows all across the back of the house, which faces the ocean. And it was the former summer home of F. Holland Day. So if you want to look him up, he is a famous photographer, very interesting work. And he's from the late 1800s, early 1900s, very, like, some really interesting work if you look up his work. But that was his summer home. And our mutual friend, Matt, owns this home and lets us use this space for retreats. And he's hosted retreats there. Other friends of mine have hosted retreats there. It's a beautiful space. And it is really so conducive to this topic of pressing pause. And so I really encourage you to think about, how often are we in this go, go, go? I can't even tell you, and I think I may have mentioned this last week as well, how many women I've talked to who feel like they don't have time to take time for themselves, or they haven't had the habit of taking time for themselves. They are in the habit of giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, that they're often resentful at times for all this giving, and they end up giving from an empty cup. And I know that seems cliche, and it's so important for us to have our ways and our time to rejuvenate, to replenish, to refill ourselves, because we are a better mother, a better friend, a better spouse, a better partner, a better daughter, a better mother, all of those things. We are better when we come from a place of being replenished, when we come from a place of being restored and renewed. And we need that time away. I was coaching a woman who said that her husband takes 4 long weekends every year to go with the guys and do some sort of fishing, hunting, something of the sorts. And I asked her when we first started coaching, I said, how many times do you go away on a weekend? With either your friends or by yourself? Goose egg. Never. She's never done that. And I really consider myself lucky. I had a coach who I started coaching with maybe in 2015 who recommended to me, and in 2015, my daughter was 16 years old, and I think it was 2015 she recommended this to me, to start taking personal retreats. And this was time alone, not even just, I mean, I've been going to retreats since I was a teenager. I started going on retreats when I was a teenager. So being with other people on retreat, I've done. And going on personal retreats was something that I hadn't done, or being on a retreat that included a good amount of personal time. And so I found those invaluable. And when I first started doing them, I did them once a month, where I went for a full day, or like a half a day, and overnight, and a half a day. So it was like a full day with an overnight, where I would rent an Airbnb or go to a hotel, and I wouldn't plan. Every once in a while, I'd plan a massage, and most often I would do some meditation. I would just go for leisurely walks. I would sit by a lot of times I went to a nearby lake, a hotel near a nearby lake, and I would just sit on the pier and just watch the water and think and just be. And it was incredible. I think I was a better mother for it. I think I was a better spouse. It gave me time to really think about my business. At the time, I had started my business already about 6 years before that. And so it really gave me some time. And so we're here just to share a little bit about this retreat, to share a little bit about, why this is important for us. When we continue to give from an empty place, from a depleted place, it takes a toll. I don't know if you've heard of the book, and I forget the author's name, but the book is called The Body Keeps Score. And there's another one called Feelings Buried Alive Still Survive, something to that effect. And both of those are essentially about how, if we do not take care of ourselves, if we do not manage our minds and our feelings, and handle all of that and give ourselves time, if we're constantly in a state of stress, if we're constantly in that as a coach I used to have would say, and I think, Carrie, you might know her, Bobby Colasante. I don't know if you've heard her.
Yep.
She would say that when we're in that constant state of cortisol, we are essentially like marinating in cortisol. And that cortisol has such a detrimental effect on our bodies. And the long-term effects, we don't always realize. My father-in-law had type 2 diabetes, and he was at the point where even his stomach, the nerves in his stomach had started to kind of atrophy from the diabetes, and the effect that it had on his appetite and on his enjoyment of food. And we don't realize the years and years and years and years of doing these kinds of things that are stress inducing, or the bad food we eat, or the habits of not exercising, or the habits of not taking that pause, the effect that they really have on us. And the more we can learn from others who've been through it, who've experienced the burnout, and try to follow in their footsteps, to take that pause, and to realize that we do need that time, because we can go. Like, I had a friend who was 29, was burned out at 29 years old. She was in a job. She absolutely loved the job. And she was going, traveling all over the country. She's in Canada, traveling all over Canada. She loved her job, had so much fun, was doing all these events. And then she started getting sick. And then she started getting sick more often. And she was to the point where she was getting sick every week to 2 weeks. And finally, her body just shut down. I mean, she didn't pass, but her body, she just went, she had to take 3 months off work, because her body just said, that's enough. And our body is going to keep score in some way, shape, or form. It might turn into a chronic illness. And I don't think our medical professionals are realizing how many things in our lives are stress induced. So, just want to share that with you. Time is running out, though, to sign up. Please, if you've got any inkling that you'd like to join us in Maine, in October. The colors will be gorgeous. I'm sure they're already starting to change. Kara, is that true?
Yeah, they are. There's a lot of reds right now.
Ooh, I hope they stay. I hope they're not all off the trees by the 19th. But yeah.
They should still be around. Unless we get a really big storm, I think they'll probably stick around a bit.
They'll be beautiful. I know when I was out there, I was actually on a retreat in October there back in 2011, and it was gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah,
and
it's a really nice time.
There's a state park within walking distance. It's amazing. Please consider joining. Time is running out. I don't like using that scarcity sense, but it is. We are running out of time for registration. So, Kara, I'd like to turn it over to you to share some thoughts and then to share a practice with us.
Sounds good. Thank you. It's interesting you're talking about the pause, and I did something about, I don't know, maybe a week and a half ago where I sent an email to probably about the 10 or 12 people who I'm in either correspondence or conversation with on a fairly regular basis, and said, I'm going to drop off the radar for a while. I really just need a little bit of a sabbatical. Summer is, being on the coast of Maine, summer is my busiest work time, which is kind of unusual in the yoga industry, but winter is often busier in other places. But right here in this place, it's really busy in the summer. And my kids are out of school, and my daughter's a senior in high school, and we're looking at colleges and going in many directions. We have an exchange student arriving in a couple weeks. And I just felt like I need to not be in conversation. It's the one thing I can control. I can't right now, can't really stop working, and I don't really want to. And I still have lots of family commitments to follow through on. And a lot of change happening in my extended family that I really need some time to let all of that integrate. So sometimes the pause is only like, okay, I can control the volume on this portion of my life, so I'm going to turn that down. And it was interesting because my husband said, you really probably didn't have to even send that email. You could just be quiet and people would be okay. And I realized I was sending it for myself, that I needed, because my inclination, like many of us, is to respond right away. If someone reaches out, get back to them. Don't leave them hanging. Don't let it pass. And I needed to put something out there and say, if I don't respond immediately, here's why. You're really important in my life, and I will get back to you, but I'm using technology mostly for work only right now. So if I don't see it and I don't respond, it has nothing to do with you or our connection. It has to do with me needing some integration time. So in a retreat, it's a really nice way to springboard into that, because you get a little bit of it under your feet, you get a little bit of a flavor for it, and then you start to feel where in your life that might fit. And, I don't know how long this pause will go on for. It'll be a few weeks, but probably I'll be back in the thick of it before I know it. But I find them really helpful resets. One of the things that I'm doing quite a lot of on this pause is when I do feel, because sometimes I do get that feeling of urgency, that sometimes there'll be vacancy, like, oh, what am I supposed to be doing right now? I must have something I'm supposed to be doing. And it's hard. And then I'll start looking for things. And then I'll decide, oh, I'm going to paint my kitchen. Right? Well, that's not really taking pause. So even though it needs it, I will do two things. One is meet that urgent energy where it's at. So if I have that feeling, maybe I'll hop on my bike, or maybe I will go for a long walk or take a run or do something active, like physically engaging, or some kind of compelling work project that I have put off that I wouldn't mind doing that requires focus and energy. I might do that for a little bit. And when I feel like that urgency has started to dissipate, then I'll do a yoga nidra practice, and I'll guide us through a very, very short sample of what that's like. Sometimes yoga nidra practices go on for an hour or more, but you can also do like little 5-minute snippets here and there. So if you would get really comfortable, you can lie down if that feels good. Most often yoga nidra is practiced lying down, but you're also welcome to stay seated. If you do lie down, make sure that you're comfortable. So maybe a cushion under your knees, maybe something under the back of your neck just to prevent your neck from feeling stiff. And just settle into any position. If you're sitting in a chair, lean into the back of it, or you can lean against a wall and just slowly feel your body from the crown of your head all the way down through your hips, into your legs, down to your feet. And then scan from your feet back up, just noticing the shape your body takes, the space it fills. If it's comfortable to focus on your breath, do that and see if you can just very, very gently let your breathing quiet. Let it slow down a little. It doesn't have to get deeper. It might actually get a little softer. And then feel all of the places that are in contact with the floor or the chair or the ground. Feel those weight-bearing points of contact and rest into those points. There's deep stability there without a lot of effort. Part of a yoga nidra practice is to move your attention from one point in the body to another, just resting your attention, not asking anything or trying to discover anything, just feeling different points in the body. So we'll do a simple scan of the spinal column. Begin at the crown of your head. And if it's helpful, you could even place your hand on the top of your head. It's kind of an odd spot to rest your attention because the crown of the head doesn't really touch anything other than the inside of a hat usually. So just bring your attention there up to the crown of the head. And as you breathe, just notice sensation at the crown of the head. All of the little plates of the skull, the little suture joints in the cranium. A breath in, a breath out. And when you come to your next exhale, let your attention move from the crown of your head down to the space between your eyebrows. Just resting your attention here. Allow the brow to soften just a bit. If it's creased, let it smooth out. And then just notice a breath comes in and a breath moves back out. Just a simple rhythm. Attention in the space between the eyebrows. And when you come to your next exhale, bring your attention down to the center of the throat. The tongue, the most visible muscle in the body, attaches in the center of the throat. Tongue is soft. You might feel the breath touch the back of the throat as it descends toward the lungs. And when you take your next breath out, shift your attention a little further down to the center of the chest, right behind the sternum. And you might feel the little junctions where the ribs meet the sternum. Feel the sternum rise as you breathe and then recede back. A breath in, a breath out. And let's stay there for one more round. Just feel the expansion here. You can really feel the work of the breath in the lungs, in the rib cage, maybe the shoulder blades and spine. And when you come to your next exhale, bring your attention down a little further to the upper abdomen, below the front bottom ribs, between the belly button and the bottom of the rib cage. Here you may also feel movement of breath as the diaphragm shifts its position. A breath comes in, just meet it there, and a breath moves all the way out, easy and deep. And we'll take one more here at your own pace. Let the breath come in. And then a slow, gentle release. When you come to your next exhale, bring your attention down to the lower abdomen, below the belly button. You might still feel movement of breath down this low in the belly as intra-abdominal pressure shifts, but you might also feel a little bit less movement than you did at the solar plexus or at the chest. Breathe in and let the breath all the way out. And when you come to your next exhale, draw your attention a little further down to the tip of the tailbone, right at the base of the spine. Again, sort of an esoteric place to hold attention, like the crown of the head. Imagine the tailbone curling underneath the pelvis and muscles of the pelvic floor attaching there, the foundation of that strength. Even if you can't discern the tailbone itself, notice the pelvic floor, notice the sitting bones. Breathe down to the base of the spine. All the way in, all the way out. And one more round. Let there be just a little bit of heaviness, a quiet rhythm that almost mimics stillness, a sense of presence in the lower half of the body, grounding that upward moving energy, that on the go energy, that feeling of urgency settles. Breathe one more time down into the hips, the legs, the feet, and the pelvis. Feeling the lower half of the body strong and stable, able to bear weight and able to bear you through whatever comes next. And as you're ready, just lengthen your breathing, make it a little more active so there's enough wakefulness to move on from here. You can let your eyes open. Little bit of movement in your body, fingers and toes perhaps, and then gently roll over if you're lying down and come back up to seated. And if you're already sitting, you can just let your eyes open. And so that is not a full Yoga Nidra practice by any means, but it's just a little taste of some of what that practice might look like. And it's one that I really enjoy pairing with activity and then follow it with that, or using Yoga Nidra before I go to sleep at night to help shift me out of that, okay, now I'm lying in bed, so I have time to think about all the things. Thanks, everyone.
I heard on a podcast a woman, or it was a course that I was reviewing, and this woman talked about how she was up at 3:00 in the morning, and so she turned on Netflix and she was going on and on. And this morning I woke up at 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so, sometimes I wake up and I'm like still really, really tired. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to lay here and see if I fall back to sleep. And often I do. And I was wide awake.
You were wide awake. Yeah. This time of year, fall is a time when sleep and digestion sometimes get a little bit funny as we move to like cooler and drier. It can, even though there is a feeling of groundedness in the fall, in nature, hibernators are putting on weight and thicker coats, and plants are storing sugars in their roots, and the migrators have already taken off. But so there can be that sort of settling, grounding feeling, but also as it gets dry and cool, that can sort of do a little bit of this. So we tend to get a little bit heady at the same time. And so helping to really focus on that groundedness. Yoga Nidra at 2 or 3 a.m. is helpful. There's a lot of recorded practices that sometimes will help me get back to sleep because I often do the same.
And it hasn't been happening as often, but today it was interesting. 3 a.m. boom, or 2 a.m.
Yep.
And usually
Wide
I wake
awake.
up between 3 and 3:15.
Yeah.
Yep. Today 2 a.m.
Even earlier. You got an extra hour.
An extra hour of just,
Wishing
and
you were
I did have a couple of times where I was like, oh, and I jotted a note down that just, it made me think of something in terms of, marketing my business. So, well, thank you so much for that practice. I will definitely use it. And for those of you who joined us, thank you so much. And for those who will watch this on replay, please just type replay. And if you have any questions, please reach out. When this posts, I'll add some comments because for whatever reason, when I put comments here, they do not show up in the post. So I will make some comments and make sure that we have, I think that so that there's a link to the registration.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Kara. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.